It's like when you buy an old home. Well, what do we do to renovate? Do we take it down to the studs? Are the Rangers taking this thing down to the studs? Let's talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. A couple of the studs from 2023 shown there as we ask the rhetorical question, rebuild, and answer emphatically, nope, it will not be a rebuild. As we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios, it's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson, and of course the Queen is over here multitasking like nobody's business. Abs is off doing some other work today, so the Queen, Kat, is doing a lot of Abby's work. Jeff and I are trying to pitch in wherever we can help, but frankly, we're pretty useless.
Pretty much.
And look at Ben. Ben's kind of, the skipper's over here kind of going, well, what? What do you need? So, we're just trying to do the best we can to help Kat out. Man, we're glad to have you by the channel. We love it each and every day. It's not a rebuild, Jeff, in part because I think it was actually to you, wasn't it, that Ray Davis said after one of the big signings, we're never going to lose 100 games again.
He did. That was in I don't know if I guess it was a great day for the Rangers, but a bad day for baseball. December 1st, 2021, the Rangers snuck in the big signings of Simeon and Seager and John Gray, and then the little one of Cole Calhoun right before the lockout deadline. Anyway, he did say that, and it's like, all right, well, he seems pretty committed to that.
Yeah.
And then I did ask in the telephone call, the conference call we had with Chris Young after the Bruce Bochy decision. And he said, "Oh well, we're gonna have a younger roster, and we're not gonna have as much money to spend." It's like, and I said to him, "Boy, that sure sounds like a rebuild." He's like, "No, no one has used that word around here."
That's the kind of word to get me fired. Yeah.
Anyway, so no, but obviously something's afoot here, and some of it is because the Rangers have no choice. They have to change things offensively because for 2 straight years they've tried the same stuff and it hasn't worked. So there will be some changes there. So renovation, a remodel, a reload,
right?
However you want to say it, but things are going to be different, and this team's going to get a facelift.
That's probably the best way of saying it. More like a facelift, because what you consider in the thought process about this is what was great last year. That was really all of the pitching, but in particular the starting rotation. I mean, you can't ask for much more from a starting rotation than what the Rangers got last year, which is one of the reasons the offensive failures are, in fact, so frustrating. All you need to do is look at, and we're going to talk lots more about, like Blake Snell last night and some of the other pitchers who have been great in this postseason. Pitching has won the day for the most part in this postseason, and the Rangers have great pitching. So all they had to do was get in, and who knows how far they might have been able to go with this great pitching. So the pitching will remain very good to great. There's some tweaking there, Jeff, but not because they're trying to make changes, but because free agency and things like that will necessitate changes.
If the Rangers, we keep saying, if the Rangers had just a league average offense,
yep,
even a little bit below average, they're probably a playoff team.
Right.
But if the pitching staff had been average, this team's going to lose 80 well, they lost 81, but maybe lose 90 games.
Yeah.
That's how good the pitching staff was, keeping this team afloat for so long. You know, a lot of narrow wins, a lot of narrow losses, also the result of the offense. So it you know, and people have said it, you know, you wasted the best pitching season in franchise history, and they did. You know, there's just no other way to look at it. You know, for the first time, the Texas Rangers led baseball in ERA.
Yeah,
which is crazy. And whether that's the, you know, their home ballpark becoming a super pitcher's park, or whether it's just because they had some really, really good performances that made the park play that way. Whatever it was fantastic. And, you know, you would think that the guys who did most of the lifting, DeGrom, Evaldi, and Leiter, will be back.
Sure.
So that's a good jumping off point. Maybe Malley comes back. We'd speculated on that. There are options for the rotation internally from Latz, Bradford when he gets healthy, which apparently is going to be in May. You know, Rocker, if he gets going and realizes his potential, then you got a pretty good starter there. So there's reason to believe that the rotation will again be one of the best in the league. You know, the bullpen needs a makeover. But again, there's some internal candidates which will help kind of with the budget, you know,
right.
cheap internal options who are optionable. So you can, you know, send them down and call guys up and keep fresh arms, or if these guys have hiccups or injuries or whatever, you know, there's going to be cheap alternatives. And it's time for the farm system to produce some guys. But at the same time, you know, the Rangers really wanted to, as they kept saying last offseason, raise the floor of the bullpen, meaning make it harder for these young guys to break through. So that's why they signed a bunch of these one-year deals. Hobie Milner, Sean Armstrong, Jacob Webb, Luke, even Luke Jackson, you know, and Chris Martin were in that group. And not all of those guys will be back. We expect Martin to retire. He's said he's leaning that way. Obviously, Jackson made it to the All-Star break, maybe, before he was sent out, and now he's got a chance to win a World Series.
Yeah, he's doing fine now. Yeah,
with the Mariners. But Jacob Webb is in the arbitration system, and really, you know, affordable option who, you know, probably didn't do anything to not want him to come back.
No.
You know, Armstrong's the big one, I think. You know, trying to get him back. He was so good and wants to be here, as we've talked about. But yeah, pitching is the least of the Rangers' concerns.
No,
which is weird to say.
And defense was great last year too. Great, like best ever in Major League Baseball history, at least as far as fielding percentage goes. So you don't want to do much there. But in order to keep that defense the same, again, that goes back to essentially keeping the people that played said defense the same. Now, there are going to be some changes. Among those people, one of the really good defenders is definitely on the hot seat, and we'll talk more about him here in a moment. And Jeff's fixing to write a story about Adolis Garcia as well, or in the process of it. So, but you know, some of the pieces will change, but the defense is great. And of course, we all know what needs help, and that is the offense, right? And that is where I just think, and we got tired last year, Jeff, of hearing, you know, some of our most dramatic improvement has to come from our internal improvement, right? Our guys have to get better. You can only count on that to happen for so many years in a row. 2 seems to be the limit for at least a couple of these players. However, I think there's going to be something of that mantra in the, you know, I think there's going to be some of that in the, you know, the world of like a Josh Young.
Yeah.
You know, the world of people like that, it's going to be like you know, the second half for a Josh Smith, right? His second halves, he's just kind of faded toward, maybe not the whole second half, but faded toward the end of the year, right? Those kinds of things are going to be, I would think, addressed, or at least they're going to try to address them.
Yeah, and you know, So Adolis Garcia and Jonah Heim, they're going into their last year of salary arbitration. you know, I'm sure the Rangers will attempt to trade them, rather than just trying to, maybe non-tender them and get nothing for them. But it seems like that's where you're probably going to start if you're looking to upgrade the offense. Now, the problem with Adolis is, he's so good in right field.
Yeah.
Now, can you find somebody to replace him? Sure. But, the Rangers, in addition to leading the majors in fielding percentage and setting a record doing so, they also led the majors in defensive runs saved. And right field they were second in defensive run saves in right field. So, can you find a guy who's going to hit well, or two guys who are going to hit well, and also play good defense? But again, I think the offense definitely takes the priority at this juncture after 2 straight years of decline. So yeah, that's probably where you start. And then with Smith and Young, it's tricky because they're just entering arbitration.
Right.
So they're really cheap. Or, you're talking maybe $3 million for each. But does the value match the production that you're going to get at third? Josh Smith is more of a utility guy, right?
He is.
And if you're looking at the position of third base, it's Josh Young. And we know he's been injured throughout his career. He had the really good rookie season, and it's 2024, the broken arm early in the season, never got right. This year he was right, but you're still talking about a guy who is relatively young. He entered this season without 1,000 major league at bats in his career. We do wonder, though. There were times where you kind of wondered his buy-in to the help that the Rangers were trying to give him there in June with the mental break, as Bruce Bochy called it, and then the option to Round Rock. Did he buy into it? Because when he would talk to us about it, it just sounded like he was saying the things we wanted to hear. His body and tone kind of said otherwise. So that's something that needs to be addressed, and maybe that's something that Skip Schumacher will be able to do. Josh works hard and he wants to play every day and all that stuff. So that's there, but he needs to make some changes. Striking out too much,
right?
Not walking enough. He could use some improvement over at third base, where the Rangers were a -7 in defensive run saves. So it's not I don't think it's where the Rangers thought it would be with the 8th overall pick in 2019. I think that they thought third base would be much more secure than it is right now.
Yeah, his improvement has certainly leveled off at best, or maybe even gone in the wrong direction, both at the plate and in the field. So, but again, he is so young. And sometimes, we say it when people go to a different team and excel. And we say, wow, what is it? Well, it's the same message. It's just a different voice. And in this case, the Rangers have a different voice, right? I mean, they've got a different manager. A lot of the coaches will be the same, not all of them. We'll talk more about that the next segment. But maybe that different voice is just what the doctor ordered for a Josh Young, in this case in particular, and maybe some of the other guys, young or veteran, on the team.
Yeah, and that's the balance that Chris Young and Ross Fenstermaker and Skip Schumacher are going to try to find. Who are the guys who, as Skip said, are going to come in every day and be ready to do what it takes to win every day, and do the little things on offense, and that's part of it. And if you're a young guy who's not going to do it, can that young player learn it quickly, or do you have has that ship sailed? Has opinion soured on some of these guys? So, that's this. The Rangers will have their pro scouting meetings, I'm guessing, here very soon. They used to do them in Arizona. They might be doing them locally this year. In any event, they review everything. They review their team, their coaches, their process, and
they're scouts. I mean, They kind of review themselves.
Everything.
Yeah.
Before they go into the what might be available in trade or free agency. So it's a heavy lift this offseason for them. And we'll get into a little bit more of that here in the next segment.
Yeah, we will, and we'll get to some of the questions. Some real good ones there in the chat. We appreciate them as always. That's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
John, Henry, and Molly both had school today, and I walked out there into the family room, and I smelled something.
Uh-oh.
I was like, I wonder if Henry got some Mando, because there was a different pleasant smell in the air. And he's at the point where he's kind of, experimenting with things and trying to get to the ladies. And, Mando, he's also, 13. So there's some stuff going on with the body.
Yeah.
Got to have the deodorant on. And it's like, hey, I wonder if my wife got him some Mando, because, it was kind of a manly smell, but pleasant.
Yeah.
And Mando is going to help you clean up, smell good. And it's for dudes. Right, and Henry is a dude.
Yeah.
It's clinical strength sweat control. It's deodorant re-engineered to stop odor before it starts, and you can get a starter pack. It's perfect for new customers. Solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like body wash or deodorant wipes, which John is big on. So anyway, here's what we're doing. Please support our show and help Mando at shopmando.com. You get 20% off if you're a new customer by using the code DLLS at shopmando.com.
You can always tell a good pair of sunglasses by the box they come in. This box, Shady Rays, right here. It says Shady Rays across it. Little magnetic clasp right there. You reach inside. Look at there. They come with this beautiful, I don't know if it's satin or what the heck it is. It's soft. It's a little bag that you keep them in. And then it serves as a little lens cleaner.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
Multi-purpose.
I mean, it's such high-end, packaging, and yet it's not a high-end price. So I don't know how you can go wrong with these Shady Rays. They're great glasses. They're polarized. They do the job you need them to do. They're replaceable and repairable, and you can get 35% off if you use the code DLLS35 at shadyrays.com. Okay, so let's get into this breaking up. As Jeff wrote in the rundown today, breaking up is hard to do, and it is. And we see a lot of comments in there about Adolis is as good as gone, and those types of things. People have been bracing for this, and there are plenty of people who have not only braced for perhaps a move with Jonah Heim, but rooted for it in part because Jonah's body language is just. Is what it is. He just doesn't look like he's having fun. He like he brings down the vibe of the whole place, the whole stadium. So anyway, but Bruce Bochy's already gone. Bobby Wilson's already gone. There may be more that are gone. These two could be gone. And that's the best team in Rangers history, right? That's the hard part, letting go of that.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, and the 23 team is, forever going to live in the hearts of Rangers fans. And, it made history, baseball history, when you look at all the world champions going back to, the first World Series, you know what? The Texas Rangers are now on the list. And it's this group of guys, most of them, that helped make that moment possible. Now, through free agency and just attrition, some guys have left. Mitch Garver, who is with the Mariners and playing he's had a pretty big role in a couple of their wins here lately.
Sack fly.
He had a triple the other night, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirby, well, not Kirby Yates, but he was part of the 24 team that was supposed to go back. But you have this group of guys. Aroldis Chapman, for instance, and they just move on through free agency, natural process. It's sports these days, but you still had the core, and the core was Seager, Simeon, Young, Adolis, Heim,
Jonah,
and young players too. You're like, man, this is the opening of the window, the start. You have the two veterans who are going to be around, the 3 or 4 other guys, Evan Carter, we can throw in that mix, who were going to be around and under club control for several seasons. And then you had the 2023 first rounder, Wyatt Langford, just waiting to
chomping
come
at
in.
the bit. Yeah.
You had Nathan Valdi, you had Jacob deGrom returning from injuries. So, you had this nice group of guys that were going to be here forever. Well, they're not going to be here forever. It's a what have you done for me lately business. All professional sports are. And, Chris Young, I think it pains him as much as anybody, but it's time to move on from these guys. That's his job. His job is to win baseball games and to keep the Rangers winning. And if the players aren't doing it, even the ones, I mean, my gosh, Adolis Garcia, what he did in 23 was nobody's ever going to forget him as a Rangers fan.
No.
And but the last 2 years haven't been there for him, and they haven't been there for Jonah Heim, haven't been there for Marcus Semien, and then we talked about Josh Young a little bit. He's declined too. So what do you do? It sucks. You want these guys to be great forever, but that's just not the way baseball works anymore, or any professional sport. But it's these decisions are ahead for Chris Young and the group, who are also there in 23.
Sure.
So
yeah, of course.
It's not easy for them.
And it's a tough one because when so many guys have career years in the same year, that's it's almost like a double-edged sword. Of course you want that cutting this way, right? That's great because it cut this way and won a World Series, but it also cuts back, right? And when it goes back this way, that means career year. And they're just probably never going to achieve that again. Now, could Garcia, could Heim, could some of these other guys that had career years, Ezekiel Duran, could all those guys have, a year like that again? I suppose they could.
Sure.
The chances of them doing it all in the same year again just aren't great, and especially not since a couple of them are likely to be gone.
Right. And, Adolis had the 38 homers and 107 or 8 RBIs in 23, and that's not including the postseason where he went crazy, and as we all remember. The last 2 years, he has a combined 44 home runs, all right, and he's batted 224 and 227. His career average is at 237. So it's not like the last 2 years, before that, he was this 300 hitter.
No.
He batted in his career year. He batted 245.
Yeah,
he's not a 300 hitter and is never going to be. Jonah Heim, who in his terrific 23 drove in 95 runs despite missing 3 weeks or plus with that wrist injury. But he batted only 258 that year. All right, the 2 years before that, I guess 21, not really full playing time as he was splitting the job with Trevino, but 196 and 227. Mm-hmm. So again, it's another guy like, he's not Johnny Bench back there. So I don't know that, the outliers aren't the last 2 years. The outliers, 2023.
That 1 year.
And even Corey Seager, had the brilliant 23, but at least he's come close to matching it. He's still a threat. He was the only Rangers threat this year. The guy that every team feared. So you're like, okay, that's legit. Marcus Semien, a really good year in 23, third in the MVP.
Sure.
Was it the best year of his career? Probably not. Because he was really good in 21. Yeah. And he had finished third in the MVP, maybe if not that year, then previously in Oakland. But his last 2 years, is that more him, who he really is, or is he more like the 23-21 guy? Well, it's starting to look a little bit more like, maybe Father Time.
Yeah, SOB Father Time.
Caught up.
Hot on his heels. And Father Time, as we all know, is undefeated. So that one could be tough. And so all of that leads to the fact that some of these guys are just going to be gone next year. Now, All About Sports Zone was asking, other than Semien and Garcia and Heim potentially getting traded, who else do you think could be traded in the offseason? I think the list that's way shorter is the guys who won't be or couldn't be, right?
Yeah.
And that's essentially DeGrom, Eovaldi, possibly the two young guys, Leiter and Rocker too. Maybe not though, right? But then Wyatt.
Yeah.
And
Probably
then
not Seager. Yeah.
And Seager, right?
Yeah.
You probably have four: Wyatt, Seager, DeGrom, and Eovaldi, who they wouldn't even want to listen to.
Yeah, I think Leiter falls into that category too.
Probably does.
5.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, this goes back to whichever winter meetings it was, the 08 winter meetings when Nolan Ryan was like, "Yeah, we'd listen on Josh Hamilton."
Yeah.
We're like, "What?"
Yeah.
You know, they listen on everybody. You know, there might be a deal there, you know. And look, Corey Seager, of all the guys who the Rangers could trade, Corey Seager might be honestly at you know what he makes and his production level might be the one who could get him the most in return.
True.
You know,
And they might not have to pay quite as much on his.
They might have to pay any, honestly.
Right. Yeah. True.
So you know, I maybe there's a deal out there too, but I would think that you know, Adolis and Heim, I don't know that they can be traded. I think everybody knows that they're potential non-tender candidates. You know, maybe if there's enough interest, you know, the word will spread around the league and they'll be able to make a trade like they did for Nate Lowe last year, although that was after the tender deadline. The Rangers said they would tender him a contract.
And they
traded him anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility too, but as the Rangers are trying to save money and make the most of what money they have available, those two guys made around $14 million this year. So, you know, maybe that's a number 4 starter, or maybe that's 2 or 3 relievers, judging by the way the Rangers like to spend on their bullpen, which is not lavishly. Then maybe that's what they can get for that money.
Yeah. And look, they are up against it. Someone asked early about the, I think it was Sport Track or Sport Radar, or somebody said they were at 238 in the CBT, and it was, of course, at 241. And that we don't know for sure. They don't, you know, see why none of them really talk about that. We know this. They were either barely over it or barely under it. So if they were barely under it, if Sport Radar is that, Sport Track, whoever.
Bruce, Sport Track, but Bruce Bat.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Bruce. Anyway, if Sport Track is right, then they will not have to pay any penalties this year. So you're right. There's a reset on that, and they'll be right back to square one, which is good. But they're still steadfast about not going over that collective tax again this year, that collective bargaining.
Yeah, and I know the one thing I don't know is if that number includes incentives. And I don't even know what all the incentives are. You know, there might be, hey, you're $100,000 for making the All-Star team, Jacob DeGrom, or Eovaldi had one that they paid, even though he didn't make the All-Star team.
They honored it anyway.
You know, and so there's that's kind of the gray area, and that's what the Rangers were bracing for as they approached the trade deadline, because it looked like, you know, Tyler Mahle was going to hit a lot of his incentives, and he didn't. So it's and
didn't I think, if we remember correctly, that's one of the reasons they traded Luke Jackson, is that he had an incentive-laden contract, and the way bullpen arms were being used, he was going to hit a lot of them.
Yeah, and there was a deal with even the Cody Hauer, who, you know, you would have thought, oh, geez, he's not going to make that much. But it was to the point where the Rangers didn't want to bring him up from AAA, even though he was kicking butt and taking names, because they were fearful of the impact it would have on their final number. So it's close. I would think that they were over it marginally, and I don't think they want to go over it again. Right. And if it does reset, great. That doesn't mean they can go crazy and get right up against it again. I don't think Ray Davis wants to do that. So it's going to be something that hopefully will eventually come to light, but it's something that the Rangers just really don't want to talk about.
No, and the reality is, since 3 of the 4 teams that are still left in baseball, right, are way under, right? You know, the Brewers spend no money. Obviously, the Dodgers spend a ton of money. The Brewers are in the $160 million range, $170 million range. the Mariners, I mean, they're always trimming payroll, and they did add at the trade deadline, but they're in the low twos, I think. And then the Blue Jays, they'll spend on you, but I don't think they're up there in Ranger territory. The Blue Jays.
No, they've tried to spend. They thought they had Ohtani. They thought they were in on Soto,
Sasaki,
and they've ended up with, I think their big free agent signing in the offseason was Anthony Santander. So yeah, they have that Rogers money, in Canada, which the communications giant up there. So they have a willingness to spend. It's just I don't know that there's a willingness for the players to take it.
They can't take our money, please.
Yeah,
but it's Canadian. I can't even tell what it is.
They did spend on Vlad, Junior to get him to stay. Smart. So that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's being done. Success is being achieved for much less than the Rangers were spending the last couple.
And
seasons.
That's going to buoy the guys who don't want to spend, like all of them, but in particular Ray and some of the other ones. So anyway, lots more coming up. We'll still get to lots more of those questions. We appreciate them. We get to those, plus a fun trip look at some potential City Connect jerseys. That's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
If you're looking for a new look, become a member of our supporters club, because you can get some sweet emojis.
Yeah.
That's just the starting point of the perks that you can get for either $5 or $15. The $15 level gets you the videos like John and I shot last week when we strolled down memory lane with Rangers managers that we've covered in the past. John has much more than I do. But it was a fun conversation. And of course, it was supposed to be 5 to 8 minutes, and we think we went 13 or 14. So anyway, become a member of that. It's another way to get sports knowledge, become a smarter, better fan, to have some fun with us, just trying to get to know us a little bit better as we, in this case, recalled our career. I think our first one too was cover what's it like to cover a World Series team. That was a lot of fun. Those are still good times and good thoughts. A lot more of that ahead if you become a member of our supporters club. And what you do, you go to the DLS YouTube homepage. There's the subscribe button, which you better have hit already, and then right next to it's a join button, and that's how that will get you to the supporters club.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it if you'd do that, and we'd appreciate it if you go to our website, which is alldlls.com, and then you scroll all the way to the bottom and you join, or really don't even join, you sign up to receive in your email inbox our newsletter every day. I actually heard people on the radio yesterday suggesting that it's time for the Cowboys to make a change at defensive coordinator. I'm like, we're 6 games in. I know the defense is bad, but I think we kind of knew it was going to be bad. Well, if you're receiving our newsletter, that's exactly what Ali addresses today. He wrote about the Cowboys and that there aren't major changes coming to the defense. So you also would be a smarter sports fan by simply subscribing to our newsletter right there on our webpage, all the way at the bottom. Give us your email. We send you the newsletter every day for free. All right, so let's talk about some of these things in this second segment, or that we talked about in the second segment. First of all, Kat, do we have the little thing the Rangers sent out, Merrill Kelly's special day today? No, it's Merrill Kelly's birthday.
Hey, Merrill.
So happy birthday to him. It's okay. Kat's busy, and I sent that very late. But what I thought was interesting, and I know technically he's still under contract with the Rangers until the end of October, so he's still a Texas Ranger. But I think it says, I think there's some subliminal message there, like, Merrill Kelly, we like you, we want you, we're wishing you a happy birthday, on our big social media platforms.
Yeah, hey,
right?
Hey.
I mean, there might be something. I think the Rangers would love to have him back. They haven't stated that to us anyway.
Yeah.
Or have you heard it? I haven't heard it.
I haven't heard it, but it sure would make a lot of sense. If the money's there, he's not a young man, and he got a little bit older today apparently, but he's 37, I believe. That's not a great position of strength if you're negotiating a contract. You're
No.
like, hey, I'm 37. Give me a 5-year deal.
Yeah,
I don't
not
know
so
about
much.
that.
Yeah,
2, maybe 3 years for him. He has the cramping issue, which is weird.
yeah. Why'd he just get to free agent? He just got to the.
Well, he'd played in Korea
Oh, that's what.
and then signed and went through the whole process with Diamondbacks, the only MLB team he has ever played for. And that's where he's from and all of that stuff. We've gone over that a lot of times. And the whole family's there, both sides. So a return there makes a lot of sense if the Diamondbacks are willing to pay for it. They are gonna, they're also losing Zach Gallen potentially through free agency, and Gallen is younger at age 30.
Yeah.
They made a splurge on Corbin Burns on the last offseason, and he is not going to pitch probably this year because he had to have Tommy John surgery. So they're hurting for starting pitching, and it would make a lot of sense to get Kelly back.
Yep.
Even on a shorter term deal. The shorter term deal, the better the chances are that the Rangers could compete, but also at the same time may not be able to compete.
Right.
It's a weird spot.
Yeah.
But anyway, he'd be great to have back. He's a heck of a pitcher.
Yeah. Jake asks, weren't the Rangers reloading the last 2 years? Not really. I mean, last year they were looking for something to help address their deficiency at hitting the fastball.
They were supplementing.
Supplementing, exactly. And last year they went and got Jake Berger, and that didn't work out terribly, but it didn't work out great, in part because of his injuries. And then they went and got Jock Peterson, and that worked out terribly. Frankly, that did not work out at all. But that was more supplemental, really, than it was a reload. And the year before that, I mean, they got a couple bullpen pieces. They really didn't do much after the 23 season. They just kind of replaced what they'd lost, through free agency and whatever else. I agree with you, Rodney. I think that Young might just thrive with the training of this new philosophy, right? I don't think that he's so locked in to what he's done and what he's doing that he wouldn't be able or willing to change. And I think that there's no doubt that he's going to be asked to, right? We know the Rangers are not going to stand for this free-swinging, aggressive approach from everybody, right? There's certain people who will be allowed and should be, right? Corey Seager, his entire career, he's been known as that free swinger, almost always swings at the first pitch, all those kinds of things. He's allowed. But a lot of these other guys, I just don't think that you can, you can count on allowing that or succeed by allowing that. You can't have 9 of the exact same type hitter in the lineup.
Right. Yeah. Corey Seager is a unicorn. The Rangers aren't. He's one of a kind. He's aggressive, which isn't unique, but he's really good with the aggression. He's going to hit the ball hard more times than not, and so you don't want to mess with Corey Seager. Corey Seager comes up there, and let's say the rules don't apply. And so all right, but then there's the other 8, and they can all improve. What do you want from, let's say, Wyatt Langford? Where is he batting in the order? Do you want him to swing, try to drive the ball as often as possible? Probably, his improvement needs to come with 2 strikes. He seems to take a lot of called third strikes. He needs to fight a little harder and foul those pitches off and live for another day. But if Josh Young is batting 6th, he's not in a position to be, he's not a middle of the order bat. Mm-mm. He's not the guy that you are saying, hey, we need you here to hit a home run or, drive the ball. That's in a spot where maybe 2 guys are on or 1 guy's at second and he needs to move the guy over.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a guy at third. He just needs to hit a fly ball or a grounder up the middle. That's the situational hitting that Skip Schumacher talked about is at the heart, the center of his approach offensively. Whatever it takes is what he wants the hitters to do in that particular at bat, in that particular moment. The game is always asking you to do something. If there's nobody on, nobody out, have at it, But in a controlled manner, control the strike zone, work to get your pitch, and then let him have it. How many times did we see Josh Young this year swing at a first pitch that was well off the plate,
right,
or get ahead in the count and then chase something off the plate? And he's not alone.
No,
he's not alone. Let's not pick solely on
Nope.
Josh Young,
Nope.
but
Dolis was the same way.
but he's one of the many hitters who
Yeah.
had this issue and who needs to tighten that up if he's going to remain in the organization or continue to be looked upon as a regular player.
Yeah. Good eye to you, Dean, down under. Wondering if Rowdy will be back next year. I don't think so. He served a nice purpose, but I don't think they're going to platoon. Continue. I think they want Jake Berger to grab the reins of that first base spot.
Yeah. And frankly, you can't have, to have a proper roster construction, you can't have Rowdy Tellez and Jock Peterson.
No,
you can't, and it's nothing to do with them physically. Although you can't have guys who are one trick ponies. I guess Rowdy is a 2-trick pony because he can play first base better than Jock, but there's not a lot of speed there. They're kind of similar players in that they're left-handed hitters whose strength is hitting the ball out of the ballpark. I don't think, and to your point, Jake Berger wasn't acquired to be a platoon player.
No,
he has a 30 homer season under his belt already in his career,
and he played for Skip, and he was very comfortable
Skip Schumacher.
there. Yeah.
So and he can play third. He really could. He's played second in his career, and I'm not saying he's going to replace Josh Young or Marcus Semien,
right?
But he's a little more versatile, and he's kind of sneaky fast. He needs to stay healthy. That's his big thing. That should be his goal this offseason. He's already had surgery to get the wrist fixed. So he'll be 100% and ready to go at the start of spring training, and he needs to figure out a way to stay on the field. If he does that, he's going to hit 20. He hit 12 or 13 or 14 this season with all the injuries. So he's a guy who I think the Rangers will say there's value there because he's entering arbitration, so he's affordable, and if he's a productive player, you're getting a lot of value there. He had 16 home runs, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. And then are they going to keep platooning Evan? The biggest thing about Evan Carter is keeping him on the field, but he still has not proven he can hit left-handed pitching. So in the short term, yes. I think though in a perfect world, they would not be platooning him. They'd be playing him healthily out in center field every day. The Rangers will have new City Connect uniforms this year, and our friends at Rangers Nation came up with their own design. Here they are with the Metroplex across the front, and there are descriptions and well thought out ideas for each of the little things, including the star, which is representative of course their who they're named after, the Texas Rangers, the law enforcement agency. I love the color. I can't stand the pants, but we kind of know that
pants. Yeah.
White's better than blue. Let's put it that way.
Dark blue that everybody thinks is black.
Yeah, I didn't like those.
Yeah, I read the comments on this post, and boy, people hate these things.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, they were like, oh, it looks like the Nationals, and the Metroplex. People are going to think of them. It's too close to the Mets. It's like, you know what? People come up with your own damn ideas. These guys are putting themselves out there at least, and trying to be fair to Fort Worth and Dallas and all the parts in between, and north and south, and it's a nice idea, and that's what the Rangers were trying to do with the
Well,
Peagle, who's
the
out
Peagle, our little Peagle right here, was the Fort Worth Cats and the Dallas Eagles, right?
there. Right.
Or was that Panthers? I don't know. Anyway, they
Panthers.
really.
Ah.
I was still at Bally. I had a big sit down interview with the two marketing guys
Yeah.
who came up with this, and I mean, they worked on it for years, and considered so many different things and the numbers and the Nation one had 214 somewhere in there.
Okay.
For the original area code in Dallas, and I'm not sure if 817 was represented too. But anyway, there's a lot of thought given to it. I thought it was fun. I was always a fan of those late 90s Rangers uniforms that had red.
Oh, yeah, I like the red tops, and I think everybody loves the red hats.
Yeah, I just love the red. And then finally in this segment anyway, R.I.P., rest in peace, to the great Sandy Alomar. Sandy was a Ranger, as was his son, Sandy Jr., back in 2005. Sandy Sr. played 90-some games for the Rangers in like 77 and 78, right at the end of his career. And then, of course, he had, Sandy Alomar Jr. and Roberto Alomar, famous for being the final out in Nolan Ryan's 7th no-hitter.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. There's
and being in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. We feel bad for the Alomar family, but glad that they are somehow tied to our Texas Rangers. So that's that. We've got our cleanup segment coming next, and we've got lots to talk about there. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's Die Hard talk, Jeff. Come on.
Oh man, I like some good Die Hard talk. There's the QR code on the screen. If you're listening, go to our website alldls.com, and there are ample avenues to get you to become a diehard, which is $79.99. So that's $6.50 a month. You guys just missed our sale. That's all right. I bet another one's coming. But why wait? Because there's so much news happening with all of our teams right now that you don't want to miss anything.
No.
We got our new Mavs writer sitting in the couch watching Ron, and so check out his stuff. Cooper Flagg, might have heard of him. Played a little point guard last night, so that's intriguing. And Mavs have a chance this year once they get that Irving guy back. They got a chance to be a pretty good ball club. The Stars are off to a good start. I think their home openers tonight. The Cowboys always generate interest, and then the Rangers, as we've talked about, busy offseason. So become a diehard today.
Yeah, you may have been hesitant because we didn't have a Mavs beat writer for a second there. Ron, how do you say your last name? Harad. Okay, yeah. So Ron Harad is here and he worked at the Morning News before this, San Antonio Express News. Dude went to Columbia. So he got a master's at Columbia. He's smarter than even Jeff, and Jeff's a hell of a lot smarter than me.
That's right.
So would you please just feel safe? We've got the Mavs covered now. Ron's here, and he's all over it. And by the way, when you become a diehard, you get a free shirt. Jeff and I usually try to wear the shirt that the other one wore the day before. Although Jeff knows I don't have the TCU shirt.
That's right.
Because we just think it looks a little iffy for both of us to be wearing the same shirt on the same set on the same day.
Yeah.
So,
although, our people we cover wear uniforms every day.
Well, they do.
Match.
And they match.
Yeah,
So anyway, merchandise store.allcitynetwork.com. Okay, let's run through these things in the cleanup segment. That Bryce Terang at bat last night is an absolute heartbreaker. I literally saw a Brewers fan crying and on social media.
I'm so sorry.
And then I saw one guy said, "Man, I tell you what, if I was a Brewers fan, my TV would be broken right now." So we can't show you the video, but we can show you the pitch tracking device. So that one right by his knee, he dove out of the way of that pitch with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 9th inning. And that one that looks like it's about 2 or 3 feet above the strike zone, that was the next pitch. And he swung at it.
Bryce.
He swung. So if he leans the knee into that pitch down there by the knee, it's a tie game. It was 2-1 at that time. And I did see our buddy Jeff Fry, former Ranger Jeff Fry, was on social this morning, and he said, as a hitter, Jeff played a good long time in Major League Baseball. He said, as a hitter, I never tried to get hit by a pitch. And in the moment, it's really hard. Instinct tells you, get out of the way of that orb that could really hurt when it hits you, right?
Yeah.
And so instinct takes over. But boy, it seem like, just throw your leg out there and take one for the team.
Yeah. With Henry, we're around the old lot of youth baseball, and you hear a lot of on an inside pitch, wear it, you know, from adults and coaches and other kids. It's like, I don't see you wearing it.
Yeah,
you get in there and wear it.
Yeah, you wear it.
If I had and I don't know if the pitch was a slider or a fastball from Trinan, who throws super hard.
He does.
All right, like 97 heater, 85, 83 slider. I don't want to take that off my knee.
No.
All right.
No.
I'm getting the hell out of the way. Okay. I don't care, if the time run's there or not. Now, if it was at my butt, then maybe I'd lean into it.
Sure.
But at my knee?
No,
I'm a center fielder. I'm not doing that.
No.
And it was game one. You always like to win the first one, but there's 6 more chances to get to the World Series. So I'm not buying the wear it thing.
No.
Especially
Okay.
just where the pitch location
I will buy that. I'm with you on that. It's a lot easier to say wear it than to wear it. Blake Snell was historic in that game. There have been 4 pitchers who faced the minimum in a postseason game through 8 innings. One of them, of course, is Don Larson, who threw a perfect game in 1956. The other 2 are like Bubba Gum Johnson back in 1904 and Skinny Legs McGillicuddy in 1915. I don't know. They're old guys, right? But like Don Larson's perfect game and Blake Snell last night. That's it.
That's pretty awesome.
Man, that's awesome. He was almost untouchable. Not to say unhittable.
Yeah,
untouchable.
When he has his control, because he can walk some guys.
Yes,
when he's dialed in, he's as hard to hit as anybody around.
Yeah,
he's just his off speed stuff's that good. He still throws it hard. Anyway, that's pretty impressive stuff for a guy who missed a lot of the year, and all of a sudden, the Dodgers have this 2-time Cy Young winner with a fresh arm ready to shove in the postseason.
Yeah. So his day was unbelievable. It was, it was really fun to watch. I'm sure it wasn't fun if you were a Brewers fan or a Brewer. How about the play though? In
crazy.
the 6th inning, whatever it was.
One of the innings.
It was still a scoreless game, but the Dodgers had the bases loaded, and I'll be darned if there's not a fly ball to deep center field that looks like it's going out for a grand slam, and Frelick goes up and sort of hits it with his glove, and it bobbles around a little bit, and he catches it, and nobody knows what the heck they're supposed to do, so everybody's kind of going from the base and tagging up and going back and not sure what to do. And then anyway, he throws it immediately, catches it, juggles it, throws it, and it's an 8-6-2 double play to end the inning. It's the first 8-6-2 double play in postseason history, Jeff.
Well, I was surprised, John, that it wasn't the first in MLB history.
Yeah.
Although, there's so many games that have been played. But the crazy thing about the play is that the out at home was a force.
Right.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think, I can't remember who was running at third, but I think he started.
It wasn't a Teoscar Hernandez.
It was Teoscar. Yeah. He started, then he went back, and then he came back again. And by that time, just perfect execution of that 8-6-2. And if Frelick doesn't throw it immediately, because it hit his glove, I think it hit his glove again, and then he caught it in his bare hand and stood up and threw it. And if he doesn't do that immediately, they're not getting Teoscar at home base.
I called Terang a center fielder. I guess I had Frelick on my mind. Terang's a middle infielder.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then, so that was just stunning. It was an amazing thing. And the likes of which, like we say, you've never seen in the postseason.
But the Dodgers still won.
They
very
did.
lucky to still win, but
They
it
did.
would have been a much less drama.
Yep. They
Poor old Bryce Terang, we wouldn't even be talking about that at bat.
That's right. That's right. And he wouldn't have had to wear it.
Poor bastard.
It has happened, as we said, in the regular season. The last time was 2004. Sammy Sosa was at the plate, and the center fielder was Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh.
So pretty good names there.
Yeah, that's
dotting that.
That is a one Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
One who
could have been.
Anyway.
Yeah. Might have been.
Yeah.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Saw this on social media yesterday before Game 1, but I thought it was worthy today. People in heaven, what do they do when they want to watch the game? I mean, they can probably see it from heaven, but what about if they want accompanying broadcast? Well, the Brewers and Dodgers have you covered pretty well in heaven as you take a look at Vin Scully and Bob Uecker, both up there broadcasting the game. Cat's looking for it. There it is. That's pretty cool. You know,
that was neat.
I mean, that's to have those two. Can you imagine those two guys broadcasting the game? They would have so much fun, and probably are, frankly, and no doubt are watching, and no doubt would be broadcasting if they're up there. So somebody, hats off. I didn't notice who that was, but hats off to whoever made that thing. The Mariners, like I was talking about how pitching has won the day in this postseason.
Yeah.
And the Mariners have great pitching, and their pitching has been great. But their offense, Jeff, how about their offense? 10 yesterday.
Yeah, they outpitched the Tigers.
Yep.
And then they're out hitting the Blue Jays, so they're beating the other teams at their strengths. The Blue Jays their bullpen's been awful, but a lot of that is the Mariners' offense gets credit for that, and they scored against Yasevich, the rookie. The 3-run homer in the first. The Blue Jays fought back, and then damn Jorge Polanco, Mr. October, hit a 3-run homer after Yasevich had been taken out of the game in the 5th, and that kind of sent them on their way. I mean, that was it. But the 3-run homer, holy cow! How big are those things?
Unbelievable. Yeah. And not like the Mariners, even after they made the change, and in part because their ballpark is non-offensive, right? It's hard to create offense in that ballpark. But they've been, even after that, they've been, a somewhat offensively challenged team, but they've got the offensive horses, and they're coming through right now, coming through in this case, or did come through in Toronto. So was it in 15 that the Rangers won the first two up there?
Yeah.
Lost the first two or the next two back here, and then lost game 5 up there.
That's correct.
So, it's not like the Blue Jays, there's not that many left from that group, but it's not like the Blue Jays have never been in this situation. They were as recently as 15.
And one thing that's pretty interesting, if you guys have, I'm sure a lot of people have, is that the Blue Jays have tons of fans in Seattle because of their proximity to Vancouver, or Canada, and the only baseball team going these days in Canada is Toronto. So it'll be interesting to see how big of an advantage on the crowd the Mariners really have.
True.
Just the ticket brokers out there, they don't care who buys the tickets. Whether it's Mariners fans or Blue Jays fans.
No.
And so that'll be pretty interesting to see. But man, the next 3 in Seattle, it's going to be a tough one for those Blue Jays.
Yeah, it really is. It's fun for me to see the Mariners do this, because I've said a couple of times on the show, I'd love to see a team that's never even been to the World Series, not only at least get there and maybe win it, but they have been to the ALCS before. Let's go back to 2001 when they were in the ALCS, and of course Ichiro was on that team. But I pulled this from Twitter for one reason and one reason only. Our buddy, Jeff, Mark McLemore, batted second, it looks like, right? That's a pinch hitter. Yeah. He batted second on that day, and he played shortstop, left field, and second base.
Well, and look who batted third. Brett Boone.
Yeah, look at Brett Boone.
And that's who McLemore replaced at second base.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, look at that lineup. That's pretty salty.
Well, and
line.
that was that team that won 116 games.
That's right.
And it would have broken the record for 117, except there was one game against Cleveland
And Mike Bassett.
that Mike Bassett pitched in.
He really tried to help him too.
Tried to help him, couldn't get it done. Indians in those days came all the way back and won that game, and otherwise because the Bassett helped the Mariners build like a 16
Insurmountable lead.
run lead or something. So anyway, love to our buddies Mike Bassett and Mark McLemore and Brett Boone. So pretty cool. Full circle. Anyway, that's that for today. We appreciate you hanging out with us as always. Back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. We're back Thursday and Friday at 1, 2. We're expecting some news on the assistant coaching front. So we'll look for that over the course of the next couple of days. And, of course, if it's big news, we may even haul off and do an emergency podcast on it. You don't know us. So there you go. That's going to do it. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.